Hi, good evening. This is your friend Han here. It is great to see you here tonight. Tonight I have another excellent WSO offer. This time is very ironic. It's a WSO offer about WSO offer. So the name of the product is called the Special Offer Gold. It's created by a well-known warrior. His name is Steve Benn, and he's also my WSO product creation coach. I paid him over $500 for his coaching section, group coaching section back the days, and learn a lot of things from a very unique perspective. Figured out how to really creating a winning product. Because every day I get people hit me up, want me to promote their products, but when I look at the product, it's actually a very low quality product. So I had to politely say I can promote this to my list. So, and if you're in the borderline, want to do some WSO offers or product launch or product creation, this is absolutely an excellent course to get, especially for the special we're offering price. It's about 170 page golden nuggets in there, literally. So and what's most important for now is I happen to get Steve Benn personally onto the Skype interview and ask him a lot of questions about how to launch a very successful WSO offer. Some of the stuff you never heard, I guarantee you never heard from anybody else before. So pay attention, listen to the interview, and take lots of notes. And tomorrow, you should definitely grab this at Warrior Special price for this, because I guarantee it's not gonna be $500 what I paid for, and I believe it's like around 17 or somewhere around that price range, something very affordable, or maybe even lower. So watch the interview. This is your friend Han, and learn a lot how to create excellent products. Okay, all right. So watching the interview, enjoy it. Until next time, keep smiling, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friend Hannah again. It is great to see you here tonight. And tonight I have someone who is very excited to introduce to you. His name is Stephen Benn. He was one of my coach in the past, and teaching me how to launch WSO products. So this guy has very experience with launching WSO products, and he has some unique approach that I have seen nobody else is teaching, and I'm glad to share that during this interview. So if you ever want to launch WSO products, please watch this interview, and most importantly, get the product. He will be introduced to you at the end of the interview before you even think about creating a product, because you want to do the thing right way from the beginning. So we're going to discuss a lot about how to creating a winning product for WSO offers and all that great stuff. But before we get into that, let's kind of learn who Steve is and how he got started with the internet marketing. But most importantly, what does he exactly did to achieve the level of success he has today. So Steve, would you kind of please take over the mic, kind of share your unique internet marketing story with us today?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, Han, thanks for having me on board. Basically, I started marketing my own software and training initially in the late 90s when the internet was just starting. My friend used to do all the programming, and we did quite well, and we got on a few magazine covers with some shareware, but we kind of left it, and then I went off and I started working for myself, started up a proper sort of software company, and started actually doing software for film production of all things. And I also started really focusing on marketing, so I realized I needed to get better at that. And I ended up doing a lot of consulting for people, and I shared an office with some other people, and I still work with them now actually. And basically they're asking me, Steve, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you get traffic? And I started putting together all of my expertise, and I thought, you know what, there must be some place that I actually can share this with people. And I found the Warrior Forum, and I launched my first ever few products. Blogging Economics, which was about my personal blog, which was getting really good traffic, and also another one which was called Bad SEO. And Back then, you couldn't even have like buy now buttons on the forum. It was really, really hard to sell anything. There were no affiliates, there were no Facebook groups. Skype was just not around. But I managed to actually sell over $50,000 worth of products. I was absolutely blown away. And I kind of got into this cycle of creating new strategies and marketing tactics for my clients and the guys I worked with, and also my own sort of business. And from that, I then would actually boil all of that information down and I'd release it as a product. And over sort of the past 4 or 5 years, I've released over 40 products now. I made one heck of a lot of cash. But the reason I've been able to do that is because I do things a little bit differently than everybody else. And I'd like to just explain to everybody listening, everybody watching, just a few things that are going to make a real difference if they're launching WSOs or thinking about launching WSOs. You see, the kind of the biggest mistake that I see in WSOs is that people create a product that they're really in love with, that they really want to create for themselves, that they really believe in it, they're so passionate. But the fact is that doesn't mean that people are actually out there wanting to buy that product. You've got to find that match between what people want to buy and what you're really passionate about, or what you're interested in and what you've discovered a loophole about. So there's no point going out and just creating this product unless you know there's the demand there. So that's the first thing you've got to figure out. Is the demand for your product, be it a service, be it a training course, be it software, a plugin, whatever, you've got to figure out, is the demand there? And you can use Warrior Plus's affiliate section, JV Zoo's affiliate section, just to see what products are selling, and just, type in there and see if your product idea is actually one that could sell. And if you see products selling over 1,000 copies, you know you're onto a winner. So that'd definitely be my first strategy.
Right. So those who are watching with us right now, make sure you grab a pen and paper, take the notes. The first very important point Steve pointed out here is you can't just. I've seen a lot of people make this, especially mistake, especially people who send me stuff to look at and to potentially promote. Is in their mind, this is absolutely the best product they ever created, and then some of you spend like 6 months creating it. But when I look at it, I know this product is not going to go. And just because you have not done the research, especially the data that Steve is going to talk about he has for the last 4 years, to figure out what the market wants. It's one thing that you are very passionate about one niche or technique or software, whatever you have, then what the market wants. Sometimes there's a big differentiation there. So what Steve basically talking about here is you want to make sure, almost in a reverse role, make sure there is a market, then create a product so you don't waste your time and effort and money too sometimes. So let's talk about this amazing statistic you've been tracking for the last 4 years, and that was honestly one of the reasons I picked you as a WSO coach back in the days, because I want access to that almost like exclusive data that I think you're the only person I know tracking that. So
yeah, basically I had these sort of first 2 successes, and then my third WSO was on restaurant marketing. And back then, what was it, like 2006, 2007? Offline marketing wasn't very big. That product would have been huge now. But back then it wasn't. I sold like less than 10 copies. It was really, really heartbreaking, because I was so passionate about it. I was sharing it with my offline clients. Today it would have been a massive seller, but I was too early then. And that was just one of my sort of mistakes. And I thought, how can I get around this? I thought, well, I need to look at all of the successful WSOs. So I hired a freelance programmer, and I got him to build me a system that monitored all of the WSOs and recorded it in a big database. This database is absolutely huge now, and it lets you see things like, what the most popular times are for viewers, because there are times on the forum where there are more people viewing, or people more likely to open emails and click through than other times. And then there are times when people like to list WSOs and like to list products, and they're two very different things. So a lot of people kind of go, oh wow, this is a really popular time when everybody's listing a product. It doesn't mean that buyers are going to be around. Quick example for you. Weekends have a very, very different market to during the week. During the week, you can sell things, that are quite high priced, and they can be sort of what I call a business in a box. A business in a box where it's a complete solution. At the weekend, you'll struggle more to sell a business in a box type product. it's more likely to work with sort of very specific problem and solution. And also lower priced offers as well work really well on a weekend. But let's say you've got an offline WSO you want to launch and it's a complete business in a box showing somebody how to get started. Might struggle a little bit the weekend. Same if it's high priced as well, because as we know, WSOs can start like $3-4, and we've seen people sell them for $90, $100. I sold WSO a couple of years ago. It wasn't a coaching WSO. It started off at $699, went to $900. I think I sold about 26 copies of that. So there is a real price range for WSOs, but you need to know the secrets to know what's the right price for your particular type of product and when you're launching it, and also what commissions to offer. It's really important to understand those sort of things. There are also monthly cycles as well. So for instance, right at the start of the month is actually a really bad time to launch relatively, because there's a little bit of a dip. Then things tend to pick up in the middle of the month. Also pick up as it comes to the end of the month. People are coming to paydays, getting their salary, and they're wanting to get that business off the ground. They're wanting to do something with their blog site or their affiliate site, start making progress. So there are lots of things to pay attention to: commissions, launch times, pricing, and of course your sales letter as well. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier was I have a bit of a reverse strategy beyond what we talked about. And that is that I actually always write my sales letter first, before I actually create my product. Here's why I do it. I think there are an awful lot of products out there that don't mean to be, but they're kind of a bit misleading. They promise loads in the actual copy, but don't deliver it. And I kind of figured out the reason this happens is somebody creates a product, they love the product, but then they write their sales letter and start sort of typing away, and they think about all the things they forgot to include. And somehow they end up seeping into the copy, and they kind of end up in there. And the actual copy is what they wish their product had been rather than what it is. I say write your copy first, think about all the things you'd like to include in there, and then you can look at your product idea and you can say, well, I've got my copy here. This is defining what I actually want to create. And you look at what's realistic and what's not, and just cross out those bits. But you've already got the perfect product because you've actually written this complete sales letter beforehand.
Okay. Couple interesting questions that I kind of I want to kind of figure out personally. Also, I get asked that question a lot. Is let's say is it fancy? Should you do a fancy graphic sales letter, or should you do a plain, just text-based sales letter? Or what do you see the stats on that?
Well, I'm not sure that a lot of people would agree with me on this, but this is something I've tested a lot.
Okay.
Back in the day, before there were sales systems like Warrior Plus and everything, and it was really difficult to have your sales buttons, I figured that it was quite hard to get somebody to the buy button. So I thought I might as well do some split testing. So what I do is I had my sales page and I had the button that people click on to buy, but that would take them through to an exact duplicate of the sales page, which they'd have to read again to click on the actual buy button. And I did this for about a year. It cost me a lot of sales, but I put on a piece of software called ClickTail, which actually monitored what people were doing with their sort of mouse pointer and scrolling. And I could see where people were actually pausing and then exiting my sales letter rather than buying. And a graphic sales letter is okay, but I have found that the more basic you can keep it, and actually the key is to have it really readable, really easy to read, the more sales that you get. Making it nice and clear and look sort of pretty is okay, but some people take it too far. If you have a big logo at the top or anything like that, I saw one kind of big marketer actually put up huge profile pictures of him and the special guests he had, and that kind of actually disrupts what's going on. If you look on something like ClickTail, you'll see people pause and they'll hesitate and then they'll exit out. And so having some graphics, that's great. Photos are really good. You don't need to have the most fancy sales letter in the world. It's really about your offer and what you're saying. That's really important. You get that right, you've got a long sort of way. But one of the worst things you do is have these big graphics right at the top. Get your potential buyer interested in what you're offering first. Saying things like 50% discount when they don't know what's on offer, it's just pointless.
Okay, that makes sense. It totally makes sense. Now, my next questions, I think a lot of people want to know is, do you want to do self-hosted or do you want to post on the forum?
Do you know, I've largely done things on the forum. I've done a couple of self-hosted as well. There are pros and cons to doing that. On the forum, you're going to get a lot more people posting. It's very easy. People have already got their accounts.
Okay.
Now, some people have problems with trolls and people making negative comments. I've never had a huge problem with that because I think if you treat most people with respect,
Right.
9 times out of 10 they'll post okay. I think the thing you've got to remember is that when you're actually doing a launch, try not to get too angry or take things personally. If somebody's making a point, there's probably some reason for it and you need to address it. And more often than not, I've found by addressing those things, you actually get more sales. Self-hosted is great when you want a little bit more control or maybe your price is a little bit different. So if it doesn't quite fit in, if you've got a higher price product, I always go for self-hosted with higher price products. And that's what I call more of a special offer. Okay, so we've got WSOs, which are the traditional area, and then you move into sort of what I just call literally special offers, which have a slightly larger price range and, like I say, they're self-hosted. And I do think, like I say, there are a lot of advantages to doing self-hosting. You can do things like retargeting and lots of other sort of high-end advanced options. But for starting out, the forum's still a great place to do sort of business and to launch your first product. Makes things very easy for you. So yeah, I think self-hosted is great when you're ready to actually get more of the cash in. You're a little bit more advanced, so you're selling a higher priced product. But for starting with places like Forum Special Offers and the Warrior Forum, they're great places to get your feet wet, start building a list, start actually getting some sales in, and see what people think of your products and think of you as a marketer.
Okay, I guess the next follow-up question I think a lot of people are interested in finding out is what day of the week and what time of the day it's the best to launching your product.
That's actually a really interesting question because there are kind of peaks and troughs both in when people view and when people actually are more likely to buy and when people list. People traditionally like to list at sort of 11 a.m. Sort of Eastern Standard Time. But if you've got a really powerful offer, you don't necessarily need to launch then. You can launch whenever you want. If you've got a bit of a weaker offer, I'd actually suggest not launching then because you've got a lot of competition from bigger marketers. Thursday's a really popular listing day, as is Tuesday. But again, the days that most people like to list on, you might be best avoiding because you're going to get more sort of potential exposure on other days. So I actually think going for some of the less popular days can sometimes be good if you're just starting out. So things like Mondays can be good, Wednesdays can be good, and Fridays can also be good as well. Sometimes at the end of the month, Friday can be a competitive day as everybody's rushing to kind of get their sort of piece of sort of the end of the month cash. So yeah, there are real variations. I definitely think if you're looking to avoid sort of really sort of high level competition, go for the middle of the month. You're making things easier. If you've got a lower price product, try the weekend. You know, it's not always a case of trying to go for when there's the most opportunity, but actually when there's the least competition when you're starting out. I think that can make a real difference. See sort of how you actually feel about your products as well, your self-confidence, and that's going to come across when you approach affiliates, etc.
Now let's talk about, I mean, I just want to kind of share my experience because I've been promoting a lot of products in the past. I see all kinds of stuff working and not working. Unfortunately, I'm not like you. I didn't track anything, just basically on my experience. I think the thing that people are looking out there doing a successful WSO launch is actually focuses creating a kicking butt product. And that's because if your product sells itself, it really doesn't matter what time you launch it because you will go viral very fast. And people are so tied up with the pricing and all that stuff too. So focusing on researching a product, like Steve will teach you how to do that inside his course, to find a winning product from the beginning and write a sales letter before you're creating a product, which is a freaking genius way to do this if you think about it. So you don't over-promising. One of the feedback that I get from my personal customer is I get over-promising a lot, and people are disappointed as a buyer.
Yeah.
So with Steve's technique, actually stick with the way you sell on the sales page first, then creating the product. Your product creating process is going to be much easier, and you're not really, overhyping a lot of stuff too. So I really found that technique really, really helpful in my own personal product creation process. And also, once you have this awesome product, share it to as many people, JV potential partner as possible. Do not hold it back. A lot of people when you're starting out, you tend to hold it, this excellent product. I think that, but it actually has a negative effect because, you know, if you don't want to show to affiliates, they're not going to promote for you. So those kind of tips I kind of want to throw in there. And if you want to launch on the weekends, Sunday is actually better day than Saturday. So from the kind of stuff that I've been kind of testing on the background as well. But yeah, I mean, they're just some of the experience I want to share with you all too. So, and let's talk about pricing a little bit. I think that the next a question for anyone launching a successful WSO is, how do you structure the pricing? Some people like to start with 7, some people like to start with 9, some people like to start 17, 27. They all like to stick with that odd number, and I'm sure you can explain why odd number like that works the best. And also, you have this amazing piece of software that kind of help people doing that. So kind of talk a little bit about that as well, please.
Yeah, sure. I mean, pricing's a big sort of a big influence on how well your product does, because it's affecting both your customers and your affiliates. Now, one thing I see is sometimes people will be really nervous about their product, so they'll launch it at a super cheap price. So let's say under $7. The problem is a lot of affiliates, if you're new, they're not going to support you because there's just literally no potential for commissions there. But here's the other thing. If you've got this amazing product, but it's really super cheap, people are going to look at it and think, this looks a little bit too good to be true. I've tested this so many times that raising your price a little bit sometimes will actually cause the conversions to go up. And the next thing is as well, you don't really then want to be aiming for the absolute top conversions. You want to be aiming for the highest visitor value, or EPC, which means pushing your price that little bit further. And having a dime sale there can really help. So just having the price go up every couple of sales a little bit lets you judge where that perfect point is. And once you can see it kind of, you think, yeah, the EPCs are getting really good here, the earnings per click, you can start to freeze in your price and you can lock it in there for later on, so you know that you've got a really good, strong price to work with. You want your commissions to be high as well. I see a lot of people doing like 50%, 60%. If you've got a reputation, you might be able to manage that. But you need to be generous to start with to get people on board. And so low pricing can be a real problem. Now, there are two main sort of price points I'd start at. One is sort of like $8, $9, and this is for something that's very general, perhaps getting somebody new, sort of used to a new topic. And then you've got sort of what I call the more specific topics, which I like to do at $17. So really sort of focused in on things like copywriting. And these are for people who know very specifically what they're looking for. So two very different sort of categories of buyer. Both good, nothing wrong with either. Trying to do sort of very specific, let's say I want to do a product on Facebook advertising. I probably should be charging $17 for that rather than $8 or $9, because somebody who's ready to go ahead with Facebook advertising, they're already willing to spend money. They've already probably got something set up. So it's a bit of a different area. And then with upgrades, you want them to be more expensive. You shouldn't view one-time offers, or as I prefer to call them, upgrades, as something that's bad. It's a way of lowering the cost of the front end of your product so that more people can buy it, that affiliates sell more copies, and more people can get started. Because if you've got a system that works, you should be wanting to get it into as many people's hands as possible. You should believe in your product that much that you want to do that. And having an upgrade is a great way to lower that front-end cost, and let those people who want to expand and do more, or do it quicker, or do it better, they can. And as you can see, this is kind of a big topic. It's something I'm really passionate about. So what I did was I got a web tool put together that lets people access parts of my database, and it's going to let them calculate just how much profit they'd make at different price points, and what sort of price points work best for different types of products, what they're selling. So they can say, oh, is this a good price for launching a WordPress theme or a WordPress plugin? So it gives people a great way to start quickly and not to spend time worrying or being unsure.
Yeah, the calculation for the commission I'm paying out to affiliates, and starting out price, diamond sales price, it gets very complicated.
It really does, yeah.
I'm very grateful you put up something like a software together. People just punch in the numbers, and then you kind of see immediately what it is. Or else you're going to get very confused what the heck is going on there. And also, I guess the next question I want to mention here, is, again, it goes back to his 4 years of collecting data. So you want to study, if you, let's say you want to sell Facebook products, you want to see what's the hot price point that's already been selling too. So you want to take that as a consideration. Again, Steve has that kind of data to share with you. So before you're launching first WSO, and so that's why we all need data to kind of confirm. Hey, not just think about out of your head, say, maybe $7 works better than 17. You don't know that. Maybe 17 works better than 7. So also for commission, if this is your first product, you probably hate to do this, but you're gonna have to at least offering 75% or even 100% front end to all your affiliates, because that will bring you the most traffic to your offer, to eyeball, to your sales page. And once you capture that leads, you can do a lot of things with it. So as a beginner, I've seen a lot of people, including myself, I hesitate. The psychology says, hey, I did all this work, why should the other people make the most money instead of me? You really need to reverse that psychology, and to know the things I know today, I will definitely, do not hesitate to give 100% in the front end, because you are really making the money on the back end. Do you want to kind of expand that a little bit, Steve, from your point of view?
Yeah, sure. In fact, this is something I've thought an awful lot about, and basically there's a great way to view affiliates. It's like using pay-per-click marketing, but you're not having to pay up front. So instead of paying sort of Facebook $1 for somebody to click on your advert, and maybe 1 in 10 people will buy, you pay the affiliates who get the sales. And only the successful affiliates get the sales anyway. So you're only ever paying for absolute 100% success, which really makes things, very affordable for anybody, no matter what level you're at. You can start out, because affiliates, it's pay-per-click, but you pay later. It's like the best system in the world. And in terms of not getting all the cash, well, you're building a valuable list of buyers. That's the first thing. That's cash in your back pocket. You're building a reputation, both with your customers for the next product you sell, and affiliates who think, hey, this is a good person to work with. They produce good stuff, which gets results for my subscribers. That's really, really important. And as well, you've got options of adding upgrades and mentioning other products once you've launched more than one in your product, so you can actually link to your own products. You can get cash that way, and you can make recommendations, products that you like yourself. So there are plenty of options, and each time it's going to grow more and more. You're going to get this kind of geometric growth as you get more affiliates on board, more customers knowing you, your list gets bigger, that potential value just keeps growing and growing. So it's really foolish to cut back on those commissions. You want to be rewarding your affiliates as much as possible.
Right. So, and you're like wealth of knowledge when it comes to copywriting and launching WSOs. We can stay here all day, and we're still gonna have a lot of gold nuggets in here, but we're kind of short on time here. So let's talk about this product you have to launching tomorrow, which talk about what time you launch this and the product name and who's going to benefit for the most, beginner, intermediate, advanced people. And let's talk about what is included in the front offer. And if you have some time left, let's share with them what the OTO is including as well, please.
Yeah, sure. Well, the product's called Special Offer Gold. It's actually been running for 4 years now. It used to be called WSO Gold, but the market's changed and expanded that much, and I've also moved into doing a lot of sort of non-WSO launches myself that I've called it Special Offer Gold, because I'm really showing people how to launch in all sorts of situations. And the great thing is, you're getting basically a 170-page manual, plus a load of videos, plus the software. Basically, they'll take anybody from being a complete beginner to somebody who's quite advanced, learning lots of strategies and a lot of statistics that you won't see anywhere else, because, like I say, and you've mentioned, I've spent a lot of time putting all of this together. So it really makes it easy. It's going to reduce a lot of the headaches. You're going to find some things that you're going to think, well, wow, that seems really weird to me, like writing the copy first, or actually making sure that you've got a topic that's going to sell first. So lots of things like that in there that are really going to help people. And like I say, I think it's going to work for people who have got an idea in their head and they're ready to go forward with it. It's even going to help people who don't know what they want to do, because they show how to actually research and test things, so you can actually start developing strategies to share with other people. And so that's really good as well. Now, in terms of upgrade, well, yeah, we have one. It's got a lot more case studies in there. It's got a complete graphics pack to help people out. It's also got another piece of cool software which actually helps with research even more, just to speed up that process. And we also have another upgrade beyond that. To call it an upgrade isn't really right. You see, for the past 2 years, I've been running a very sort of close, tight group coaching group, which you yourself have been part of. We've had lots of cool members: Justin Wheeler, yourself, Simon Greenhouse, Simon Warner, James Sides. I could go on and on. There have been loads of people. Now this group's officially launching in a week's time, and obviously the price is going to be quite high. But if you sign up and you join Special Offer Gold, you can actually join the coaching group at a really deep discount. And so that's actually a really special offer that's in there. I'll only be able to take a limited number of people because I like to keep each group small, but I think it's a great offer in there for anybody who's wanting to take things that little bit further.
Now, speaking of your coaching program, I personally paid a lot of money for his coaching program in the past, and it's worth every penny of it. And Steve has a very unique approach from teaching stuff. Do you want to share that, how you don't release the content until you actually finish one of the section? Yeah, sure.
I mean, I thought this was really important. I'd done a couple of coaching things before I did my WSO coaching. I'd done one-on-one coaching, and I'd also done an offline coaching program to help people start their own offline business. And I saw a lot of people would get confused after a few weeks, and some people would like to jump ahead, and other people would be really stuck behind. I thought, well, we need everybody to kind of be progressing kind of in step, and also being able to ask questions, not skipping over things. So what we have is we have weekly assessments, and we have weekly question and answer sessions. So you ask me questions, I answer them on the Friday, then we have this assessment so I can see how you're doing. And every time you pass an assessment, then you move on to the next week's content. And this way, you never get left behind. There's no chance of failure, because basically I'm there with you each step of the way. And we're on sort of the 8th coaching group now. An awful lot of people have been through it and had really amazing success. And I think kind of this kind of weird approach actually works quite well. Just it can seem a little bit sort of different to people when they start out.
Yeah, and the people inside the coaching group, there's kind of hangout area where people just kind of help each other out in there as well. That's a great place to make contacts too, which is very important when it comes to launching WSOs. Just kind of want to throw that one in there. And I absolutely love his coaching program. And if you can't afford it, definitely get this course so that at least you're starting off at the right process. I see a lot of people just blindly creating product out there, then it turns out to be not successful. If you have failure, if you haven't been successful with your own launch, you've been doing it for a while, get this course as well. Figure out what you're not doing right. If you are thinking about launching something, you could test a method that's working excellent for you. Want to find the right way to do this, how to write copies, which is the most important part, and most people don't even know how to write a copy and don't have the money to afford an excellent copywriter. Steve has an excellent formula in there. He himself is a copywriter, so he shared a lot of detail in there. So it just a lot of benefit to join his course, at least the product he's going to launching tomorrow. So other than the coaching program, do you have another OTO here, or is that the end of it?
Well, like I say, we've got the standard, which has all the case studies in and the extra research software and the graphics pack, and then the second one is the coaching program. But yeah, that's the whole package.
Awesome. Yeah, Steve. I think I got all the questions I need to ask you here. Do you have any final words before we kind of wrap up here?
Yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of people have been through the coaching program, but a lot of successful people have bought the report as well. People like Maria Gadelis, Brad Goss. There are lots of successful people who've actually bought this report. Anthony Ayres is another one. So, just getting the actual core report is more than enough to get people started.
Right. I totally agree. So, and another thing I kind of want to throw in there is you absolutely have to take the action. And,
oh yeah, of course.
And you can read all about it, but but you gotta have taken massive action and do not afraid of failure. Your first one might not be that successful, but don't quit because you weren't having a very good success first one. It's just a matter of having a good coach like Steve and good information too. A lot of people have been taught wrong, but I know that Steve always have this solid information when it comes to WSO, and I personally feel the statistic he's been tracking for a long time is very valuable to me. So I know exactly what is going on in the marketplace. So for that reason, I would just give the report that in that angle too. So for those who still watching, I am going to offer you guys some awesome bonuses again. So just kind of watch out for my email tomorrow. If you are interested in product creations or specifically WSOs, make sure you study his course before you actually doing any products, so you can start at the right feet. So Steve, thank you so much for spending your time with us today and share tons insider info, how to get a successful WSO created, launch it, and just have a great time with it. And I know you are in a hurry right now, so I'll see you soon.
Yeah, talk to you later, Han Fan. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Yeah.